around 6 tons. How on earth it was transported from northeast Scotland?
They must have been very technically advanced to be able to do that.
The big question is why the people back then thought it was so important to bring it all this way.
Right now, as you're watching this, there's a 5,000-year-old structure sitting on the Salisbury Plain that might be counting down to something, and we just figured out what it's counting down to.
Now to an incredible find overseas from the famous site of Stonehenge, and it suggests that mysteries that shroud this region are bigger than many of us even thought.
An AI recently analyzed every piece of data we have on Stonehenge: geological surveys, astronomical charts, acoustic tests, archaeological records spanning a century. The researchers expected maybe a small insight, a footnote in history. What they got instead was a pattern so precise, so deliberate, it suggests Stonehenge isn't what we've been told at all. It's not a temple, not an observatory, not a burial ground. According to the AI's analysis, Stonehenge is a machine, and it has a very specific job. For thousands of years, we've been asking the wrong questions about those massive stones. We debated whether glaciers or humans moved them. We marveled at the solstice alignments. We called it a mystery and moved on. But when you feed artificial intelligence everything we know about Stonehenge and let it find patterns humans can see, something genuinely disturbing emerges. The stones aren't random, their origins aren't symbolic, and that empty spot in space they point to, it's not empty. We're about to walk through what the AI discovered, piece by piece. Fair warning, by the end of this, you'll never look at those ancient stones the same way again. Because if the AI is right, and there's a 93% probability it is, we might be living in the exact moment those ancient builders were trying to warn us about. Let's start with the stones themselves, because that's where everything falls apart. Here's what we know for certain: Neolithic people moved every single stone to Stonehenge themselves. No glaciers, no natural phenomenon, just human beings with ropes and determination. The smaller blue stones, each weighing up to 3.5 tons, were dragged 125 miles from Wales. That alone is staggering, but it's nothing compared to what came next. The altar stone, a 6-ton monster, came from northern Scotland. Not southwest Wales like we thought for decades, Scotland. That's 400 miles. To put this in perspective, imagine dragging a fully loaded pickup truck from New York City to Pittsburgh, using only ropes, wooden sledges, and raw muscle power. No wheels, no machinery, just people. The journey would have taken them through forests, across rivers, over hills. They would have needed hundreds of workers at minimum rotating in shifts. They would have needed supply lines for food and water. They would have needed engineers figuring out the physics of every incline, every turn. This wasn't a religious procession. It was a military-scale logistics operation that would have taken years, possibly decades. So here's the question that should bother you. Why? Why would anyone go through that kind of hell for a rock? There are plenty of massive stones closer to Salisbury. So why did they need this specific stone from this specific place 400 miles away? The AI's answer is what shifts everything. It analyzed the geological composition of every stone at Stonehenge, their mineral content, their metallic properties, their crystalline structures, and it found something remarkable. Each stone from each location has a unique electromagnetic signature. These weren't just building materials, they were components. Think about building a computer. You can't just use any random parts and hope it works. You need specific processors, specific circuit boards, specific materials that interact with electricity in precise ways. The AI's model suggests that's exactly what the Stonehenge builders were doing, except instead of electricity, they were working with the Earth's magnetic field. The blue stones from Wales contain specific mineral compositions that interact with magnetic fields differently than the sarsen stones from nearby Marlborough and the altar stone from Scotland. Its unique crystalline matrix makes it unlike anything else in the entire structure. The AI concluded that these stones weren't chosen for symbolic reasons or because they looked impressive. They were chosen because they were the only materials that would make the machine function. The builders had knowledge of geology and physics that shouldn't exist in the Neolithic period. They understood material properties at a level we're only now beginning to grasp with modern instruments. Whoever designed Stonehenge knew exactly what they were building, and they knew the components weren't negotiable. It had to be these stones, from these exact locations, or the machine wouldn't work. That realization changes everything we thought we knew about ancient capabilities. We've always known Stonehenge aligns with the summer solstice. Stand in the right spot on the longest day of the year, and you'll see the sun rise directly over the heel stone. It's beautiful, documented for centuries, and completely expected. But that's not what the AI found interesting. When the AI cross-referenced Stonehenge's layout with star charts from 5,000 years ago, it discovered a secondary alignment, one far more subtle and infinitely more important. This alignment doesn't track the sun or moon. It tracks a specific point in deep space that appears completely empty to the naked eye. This alignment only occurs during a narrow window, but not every year. The AI calculated that the full alignment happens on a massive cycle, thousands of years between occurrences. The entire monument was designed to activate during this alignment. The AI's confidence level, 93%. So what happens when it activates? A few years ago, researchers built a precise scale model of Stonehenge using 3D printing to study its acoustic properties. What they found was remarkable. The stone circle creates a unique sound environment that traps and amplifies sound waves, but the AI took that acoustic data and ran millions of simulations, testing frequencies far beyond human hearing. And it found something disturbing. Stonehenge was built to generate and focus infrasound. You can't hear infrasound, it's below the range of human hearing, but you can absolutely feel it. Studies have shown that infrasound exposure causes anxiety, dread, unease, and disorientation. Others have shown it can cause visual disturbances. Your eyeballs literally vibrate. Now scale that up. Imagine the full-size Stonehenge generating a wave of infrasound during that cosmic alignment. The AI's model shows the effect would be measurable for miles. An entire population bathed in a frequency that makes them feel fear, awe, or whatever emotion the builders wanted to induce. You could control thousands of people without speaking a word. Just activate the machine, and everyone within range feels exactly what you want them to feel. The people who visit Stonehenge today and report feeling strange energy, they might be experiencing a faint echo of the machine's true power. For years, archaeologists promoted a comforting narrative. Stonehenge was a monument of unity. They found that people buried near the site came from all over ancient Britain. The theory was that building it brought everyone together in a great collaborative effort. The AI looked at that same data and reached the opposite conclusion. Think about the logistics. Moving a 6-ton stone 400 miles isn't a weekend project. You need thousands of laborers working in rotation. You need a constant supply chain for food and water. You need expert toolmakers, engineers solving physics problems, surveyors, navigators, and medical staff. This operation would run continuously for years, possibly decades. A loose confederation of tribes working voluntarily doesn't pull that off. The AI ran societal simulation models, and every successful scenario required the same thing: centralized power, concentrated authority, a ruling class with absolute control. But here's what's weird. We don't find evidence of that power structure. No palaces, no fortifications, no weapons caches, no administrative buildings. The AI calls them the Ghost Empire. Not a kingdom with borders and armies, but an elite group whose power came from knowledge. They understood astronomy, geology, and acoustics at levels that seem impossibly advanced for the Neolithic period. And the stones from different regions weren't symbols of unity. They were tribute, proof of control. Each stone represented a territory under this empire's influence, forced to contribute to the machine's construction. The AI's model suggests a rigidly stratified society, a small, brilliant elite at the top who understood what they were building, and a massive controlled labor force at the bottom who didn't need to understand. They just needed to obey. How do you maintain that control without armies? The answer might be the machine itself. If Stonehenge generates infrasound that induces compliance, they could have used the monument to control the very people building it. We find no evidence of massive battles, but that's the point. Why would you need a sword when you can vibrate someone into submission? This ghost empire conquered through superior understanding, and they were playing an incredibly long game, building a machine that wouldn't reach its full purpose for generations. But what was that purpose? What were they preparing for? This is where everything converges. We have a machine built with precision engineering, designed to generate infrasound and aligned to a cosmic event occurring on a cycle of thousands of years. The AI's final task was to answer why. The AI presented three possibilities. First, the shield. Maybe Stonehenge is a defense system. The cosmic alignment marks a recurring natural disaster, a massive geomagnetic storm, cosmic radiation burst, or some energetic event we don't have a name for yet. Something powerful enough to threaten life on a planetary scale. The ancient builders knew this event was cyclical and designed Stonehenge's specific arrangement of stones to absorb or deflect this cosmic energy. When activated, it creates a protective bubble. The infrasound serves as a warning system, telling people to get to safety. In this scenario, the Ghost Empire were protectors. Second, the amplifier. But what if the machine isn't meant to protect from the energy? What if it's meant to harness it? Stonehenge doesn't deflect the cosmic event, it focuses it. The stones act as a lens, concentrating energy to a single point. The infrasound prepares the population for something massive. The AI suggests the builders might have been attempting a ritual to open a gateway, communicate with something, or transform reality itself. The population wasn't being protected, they were being used. Thousands of people vibrating at the same frequency, their collective energy feeding into whatever the machine was trying to accomplish. Third, the gateway. What if it's about transportation? The specific infrasound frequency, when amplified by cosmic alignment, could create a localized resonance powerful enough to affect space-time itself. Each stone vibrates at a different frequency. Together they create a chord, a complex harmonic pattern that matches the theoretical vibrational frequency of space-time. If true, Stonehenge is a key designed to unlock a door in reality. That empty point in space might be the destination, a fixed point accessible when the alignment occurs, and the machine generates the correct frequency. The Ghost Empire had a map of reality beyond three-dimensional space. Were they trying to leave or let something in? Here's the part that should keep you up at night. The AI didn't just analyze what Stonehenge is or what it does, it calculated when. When does that cosmic alignment happen? When do all those celestial bodies line up? When does the machine activate? You might be thinking it's thousands of years away, some distant future problem. That would be convenient, but the AI's calculations tell a different story. The next alignment isn't in the distant future. According to the model, we're approaching the window now. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon enough that it matters. Soon enough that if the ancient builders were trying to warn us, we're living in the warning period. Think about that. 5,000 years ago, someone understood a cosmic cycle so well they built a machine to prepare for it. They invested generations of human labor, moved mountains, and encoded their knowledge into stone. And their calculations pointed to our time. We decoded the message. We finally understand what they built, but we might have figured it out too late. The question isn't whether the AI is right. The mathematics check out, the physics are sound, the astronomical calculations are verifiable. The question is what we do with this information. Because the ancient builders weren't wrong about geology. They correctly identified electromagnetic properties we needed modern instruments to measure. They weren't wrong about acoustics. The infrasound generation is real. They weren't wrong about astronomy. The alignments are mathematically precise. So why would they be wrong about the timing? The Ghost Empire is gone, their civilization vanished, leaving only the machine behind. We don't know if they used it successfully, or if the machine's activation is what wiped them from history. We only know they considered it important enough to sacrifice everything to build it. Stand at Stonehenge today, and you're standing inside a piece of technology we barely understand. Built by people who shouldn't have been able to conceive of it, pointing at an event that's supposedly approaching. The stones have been silent for 5,000 years, but if the AI is right, that silence is about to break. The countdown isn't a metaphor. It's mathematical, it's astronomical. It's carved into the placement of those stones. They built a machine, they aimed it at the sky, and they set it to activate in our lifetime. We finally understand the message they left across the millennia. We just don't know yet if we're supposed to run toward it or away from it. If this story made you question what else might be buried beneath the sands of time, don't look away. There are still countless mysteries whispering from the forgotten corners of our past. Subscribe to Forgotten Depths and join me as we keep unearthing the truths that history tried to hide. The deeper we dig, the stranger it gets.